In the sixth episode, the story starts with young Sungbin saying something harsh to Bitna. Afterward, there's a recess, and during the break, Bitna goes to meet the accused. She asks him, "Who are you now?" which confuses him, and he says, "I don't understand." Bitna then asks if she wants to meet Ku Dawan, but he says he doesn't know him. Bitna then whispers in his ear that if he brings Ku Dawan out, she will let him go. As Bitna turns to leave, the accused suddenly switches to Ku Dawan personality, Bitna smiling sinisterly and asks him if he have killed young Sungbin family, and he confesses. Then Bitna responds with a smile and asks him to switch to Kim Seal personality. He does switch to Kim's personality, and when Bitna leaves, she smiles and starts thinking to herself in her office, realizing he has detachable multiple identity disorder and he is faking it. Next, we see Bitna going to the Yang's room, and when she is about to kill young Sungbin, she asks him if he regrets killing his wife and children, to which he responds, confused, asking what she is talking about. Bitna then says she would kill him and pulls out a knife. But suddenly, Dian grabs her foot from under the bed where he was hiding. Bitna is shocked and starts running away. Dian tries to stop her, but Bitna manages escape. He grabs a woman's hand but realizes it's someone else when the lights turn on, and apologizes. Bitna runs out, hiding from Dian. After a brief chase, she finally makes it. Outside, and Gremory was waiting for her, then both end up running. Bitna returns home to find Dian sitting on the stairs waiting for her. He asks where she went, to which she responds vaguely. Then, Dian repeats the word of her when she was about to kill young Sungbin, leading Bitna to exclaim, "What nonsense are you talking about?" Dian accuses her of being the one who went to the hospital, to which Bitna denies it, saying he's suspecting an innocent person to protect a murderer who killed his family. Dian says he has doubts too, but it's his job. Bitna tells him if he needs to have evidence and he should get it and arrest the real criminal. Later, Dian head to the police office, where everyone is discussing the phone found at the crime scene, was an old model that would take time to fix. They're frustrated because they don't have much time. Next, we're shown a courtroom scene where Bitna asks the defendant for his final statement. He starts crying and says he didn't kill anyone. As Bitna is about to give her verdict, Dian rushes into the courtroom, claiming he has proof that the accused did commit the murder. Bitna argues that evidence should have been submitted earlier, and the court won't accept it now. She instructs the police officers to escort Dian out, but he plays the recording in the courtroom. The recording shows the scene at the time of the murder. We then see Dian and his team frustrated about where to find evidence, and that's when they remember they can check the cloud storage from the victim's son's account. They find a recording where the accused is seen killing his son while saying something to him. After killing his son, he calls the police, but his son had left the phone recording the whole incident. The recording also shows his wife coming home and witnessing the murder, after which the accused kills her too. At that time, their younger daughter, who was sleeping, wakes up hearing the commotion and sees her mother being killed. The accused then tries to kill his daughter as well and succeeds. The recording ends, and Dian states that the accused must be punished. Bitna orders a recess. Bitna leaves the courtroom angrily, upset that Dian ruined her plan. The court resumes, and Bitna once again questions the accused, who denies killing his wife and children. Bitna asks him as he has assaulted his wife in the elevator and tries to bring up child abuse. Bitna stands up and provokes him, making him lash out, and he attempts to strangle her. The other officers manage to stop him, and the courtroom watches in shock. Bitna then gives her statement, saying that Yang did kill his wife, which is a serious crime, but he had been living a good life until he lost his job, and it was his first offense. Moreover, the evidence was submitted late, so the court decides to consider Yang's claim of multiple personality disorder. As a result, the court declares him not guilty by reason of insanity and sentences him to 2 years of treatment in custody. The victim's mother confronts Bitna, asking if she would have done the same if it were her own family that had been killed, but Bitna ignores her and leaves the courtroom. Later, in her office, Bitna seems worried. In the next scene, we see Dian traveling in the bus with Yang. Dian recalls the moment when Yang strangled Bitna and Bitna was smirking. Meanwhile, Bitna is in her office, and Mando arrives, asking her why she gave such a judgment. Bitna responds that the evidence was late. Mando tells her that Dian is also on the bus, and they decide to take a look. While on the bus, their bus collides with another vehicle. When the police officers come to check the truck, the driver gets out and starts fighting with the officers, and they take Yang out of the bus. Dian witnesses everything and gets out of the bus, engaging in a fight. The other men overpower Dian and take Yang away. They leave Dian with injuries. They were demons and they gave Yang to Gremory. Dian is later shown sitting in his office, where his superior scolds him for not caring for himself. Dian replies that he has to meet someone, and then he leaves to meet Mando and ask about Bitna's plan, but Mando runs away. Later, Dian goes home and finds Bitna waiting for him. He is visibly frustrated and asks why she didn't accept the recording. Bitna explains that he doesn't understand how the trial works and that as judge she knows more about it than him. Dian then asks her about Yang, to which she responds that she has no idea and was in the office at the time. Dian suspects that she might have orchestrated everything through someone else. He questions how Bitna can be so terrible, and Bitna coldly replies that she's not even human, she's a demon, and her judgments are always correct. Saying this, she leaves. Furious, Dian gets into his car, grabs something, and goes inside. Meanwhile, Bitna opens the door to her room, and Dian brings a chair and sits down, telling her that he won't let her kill him. Despite this, Bitna leaves. Meanwhile, Bitna is seen sleeping in a room when a shadow of her Mando appears. Dian, sitting outside, hears the sound and calls out, but there's no response. Suddenly, he hears Bitna's voice saying that she's right there. Dian gets suspicious since Bitna doesn't usually speak like that. He yells at her, and, convinced that it's Bitna, he steps out to check. He sees a rope hanging from the balcony, and someone is pulling it. Mando pulls the rope quickly, but Dian doesn't see anymore. Then we are shown Yang waking up, with Bitna standing in front of him. He asks her where he is, and then she approaches him with a weapon, asking if he knows why the fire of hell never ends. She says that people like him act like fuel for hell. Yang tries to escape, but Bitna chases him, and he runs into a classroom-like place where Bitna begins questioning him as if he were a 12-year-old child. Yang, confused, responds that he is 44 years old. Bitna attacked him in hand, causing him to run away. He again encounters Bitna, who scares him, and he runs into an elevator. Inside the elevator, Yang meets a woman who turns out to be Bitna. She starts beating him the same way he had assaulted his wife in the elevator. Yang, scared, tells Bitna to stop, but she keeps beating him. When the elevator doors open, Yang steps out and sees Bitna sitting and laughing at him again. Terrified, he runs into another room, which looks exactly like his own house, where Bitna is sitting, waiting for him, and says, "Welcome home." Yang pleads with Bitna to stop, but Bitna coldly replies, "Why? Don't you realize what you've done?" Slowly, Yang starts recording their interaction, but Bitna grabs the phone from him. Yang folds his hands in front of her, begging for his life, asking her to let him go. Bitna grabs a tool and starts beating him mercilessly, causing him to bleed profusely. Yang tries to escape again, but as soon as he opens the door, he once again finds Bitna standing in front of him. This time, Bitna ties a rope around his legs and hangs him upside down, telling him that the real trial is about to begin. Yang tries to explain that it wasn't him, that someone else is responsible. Bitna advances towards him, and although Yang attempts to defend himself, she throws him down once more. She then mocks him, saying it's fortunate that she did not kill him in the hospital and now he will be brutally beaten to death. Yang, now terrified, begs for forgiveness. Bitna coldly calculates the number of times he had stabbed his family, 21 times. She then asks him to try again, but Yang, trembling in fear, continues to plead for mercy. However, Bitna brutally stabs him without hesitation. As Yang lies severely wounded, Bitna asks him if he regrets killing his family. Yen admits his regret and says he wishes to seek forgiveness from his family in the afterlife. Bitna tells him that his family is already in heaven, but he is destined for hell. She then takes out a knife and finishes him off. As she kills him, the hell's door opens and Yang's soul departs from his body. Meanwhile, Dian suddenly wakes up from his sleep as if startled by something. Bitna walks out of the gate. Down receives a phone call and is shocked by the news as Bitna walk past him. She smiles. Later police found Yang dead body nearby their police station. They see that this one was also killed in the same way, but this one was completely stabbed all over their body, just like the other case. Bitna is shown thanking two judges who were working with her. Meanwhile, at the same time, news of a dead body found in front of the police station is discovered. Bitna just smiles after hearing this, and other judges notice this. We then see Chief Judge who was flattering the assemblyman a lot. Later, the assemblyman is asked why he is so generous towards Bitna, to which he replies that Bitna is special to him, and after that, Chief says he will take more care of her. When asked why Bitna is staying in the apartment, the chief judge says that he had no idea, and instead replies that Bitna spends all her money on expensive clothes, so he stays quiet in front of the assemblyman. Next, Bitna, Gremory, and Mando are at Bitna place. Bitna asked Gremory whom did she hire this time. Gremory replies that someone she called from Busan, and Bitna remarks that she had said no one should be hurt. Gremory responds that she had removed the people earlier, but Bitna says that no, Dian was badly injured. Then, Mando is giving a presentation, which both Bitna and Gremory watch together. Mando is sharing very basic information about real Bitna, so Justicia impatiently says, "Get to the point." Mando mentions that she was just studious and had no friends, no family. The moment she went to college, her whole family moved abroad. Bitna then asks Mando about her reputation, to which Mando replies with a good reputation. Mando show her a photo of Bitna. Bitna notice her dressing sense was simpler. Gremory then questions Mando who stabbed Bitna, and then asks why Bitna broke off her engagement. Mando has no answer, and Gremory gets angry and attacks him. They fight a little, but the Bitna tells them to stop. At the police station, officers are reading reports from the autopsy of Yang, but they find no evidence. Yunseop suggests they should go to fortune teller because nothing is happening here. At that moment, Dian remembers a card that Demon Yunsong had given him that day, and when he goes to meet that person, he finds out the Yunsong had taken his own life, committed suicide. Dian feels conflicted. Dian remembers the time when he said he would be killed if anyone finds that he cried. Dian believes that's why the demon died. We then see the demon returning to their house, and he senses someone is there and he looks around. He finds Gremory there and is angrily questioning how she managed to sneak into his place. Then Gremory asks him as he had been dating for 3 years, and this is not allowed for demons. The Gremory tells him she was keeping an eye on Dian when she overheard them talking, and she learned even bigger news and caught him with his girlfriend. She then tells him that her mission wasn't to kill 2 people but to kill those demons who had become humanized. That was her real mission. He was about to attack when she said she didn't want to see his lover suffer a miserable life, so he should leave. Reluctantly, he jumps from his house and commits suicide. In the next scene, we see Gremory at her workplace, where cleaning professionals come to meet her. She asks why they are still here after finishing their work. They explain that they noticed something different at the location, like the man was emotionally tortured as if someone was taking their anger out on him. Gremory is confused. Later, Yang's mother-in-law and daughter-in-law come to the house to take some valuable things and clothes. Upon seeing a photo of her daughter and family, mother starts crying and says she is not happy that the man died. She wanted him to suffer like her. He made her daughter suffer. She cries a lot, and Bitna overhears this from outside. Bitna starts having heart pains, and when she turns around, she sees Dian. She ignores him and leaves, but he grabs her. Bitna says she just came to see the family, as they were about to visit, to see how happy they were about his death. Dian disagrees, saying those weren't tears of happiness. Bitna is questioned about why the body was left near the police station, and she replies that there is no proof. Dian asks why she killed the Yunsong. Bitna is shocked that he is dead and didn't even say goodbye to her. Dian accuses her, and she keeps denying it. Bitna insists she didn't kill him, but Dian accuses her of driving him to suicide. Bitna gets very upset, and Dian says she's always able to hurt others, but when it happens to her, she can't handle it. Bitna tells him to go back to work. Dian threatens her, saying he will catch her and won't let her go. Later, Bitna returns home, furious, muttering that Dian can't blame her for something she didn't do. Suddenly, a car arrives, and it's the assemblyman's eldest son Taijayu. They both sit together, and Bitna asks why he came to see her, but he doesn't say anything. She's about to leave when he asks why she told her father to transfer him, to which she replies that she asked for a favor. He tells her to stay away from his family. Bitna says it's because his father keeps calling her. She asks why Assemblyman keeps asking about the redevelopment, and he reveals that he's the CEO of the company seeking the redevelopment. He tells her that after today, they will never meet again and warns her that the neighborhood is dangerous, so she should be careful. As Bitna's landlady is walking towards her, someone is following her. The landlady meets Mando and asks her what happened to him as he was looking upset. But he initially doesn't tell her. Eventually, he reveals that one of her friends has died. She suggests they go to the church to pray. After leaving, someone wearing a mask watches them from behind. Later, Minjun's mother says goodbye to her son, while he's asleep, and leaves the house. Just then, the masked man grabs her and attacks her. Minjun's mother pleads not to be killed, and with that, the 6th episode ends. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel and help me reach 1,000 subscribers.